All right, audio levels look good. Welcome everybody to the playground. It's time for Monday Night Vampire the Masquerade. I'm joined tonight by Knox, my storyteller, Zack, who plays Vic, Martha, who is our Michael. I'm your Alice. For those of you new here to the playground, I'm Pixie Phoenix. I'm a full-time variety streamer here on Twitch. I stream live-action role-playing sessions twice a week, play MMOs most of the other time with a little bit of Steam fun in there. So, thank you for joining us. We are hitting session 60.
Whew. Damn.
And that's certainly not counting solos and duos and weeks where we had technical issues. So we are actually way more than 60, but we'll call it MSQ.
We are technically on, this would be 71.
Wow, 71.
When you count all of the extra, when you count all of the solo sessions and the duos and things like that, this would actually be our 71st session. This would be our official 60th session as a full group, or I guess I should say the full coterie as it is.
Right. But yeah, everybody in chat, how are you doing this evening? How was your weekend? Please remember, we love to hear from you. We do answer back in chat, so say hi. Let us know what's going on with you. And otherwise, we're going to get started.
Welcome to our Monday night Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition Chronicle, Philly by Night, session 60, as has been mentioned. As the sun is setting tonight on Philadelphia, it is swelteringly hot. People are scrambling for any sort of air-conditioned or cool environment they can find. Temperatures are rising. People are watching what's going on in the world and in the streets. And as I said, temperatures are rising. Tonight, our coterie has a new situation that they need to deal with, as tonight is Mr. Starwell's first appearance as a member of the Primogen Council. So, Alice, waking before everybody else, what do you do when you first awaken?
Well, it's been a long weekend. Can I have a small recap of how the night ended?
The last time that we were all together, a lot of the evening was spent dealing with Mr. Starwell's new child, Westy, who has a bit of a, shall we say, quirk to her feeding habits. And going
she's the meat eater, right?
As well as going to meet up with the Hecata and talking with the leader thereof, Carmine, to get some temporary insights, some bit of information about different situations, which turned perhaps to have less fruit than you would have wanted them to. But
did Michael take Westy to his room?
Yes, Westy is currently slumbering with Mr. Starwell.
Okay. I guess I'd wake up Lane, or has Lane already taken off?
Lane is kind of wandering around the apartment, getting ready to go to the club.
Yeah, I'll probably just get my shit together and go over with her.
When you guys get outside the apartments, as the sun is going down, there are other people who are starting to show up. You see Robin getting off the bus and starting to walk up. Romano is already there. Front door is open as he's kind of sweeping off the front step and getting things ready. There's not much of a line outside. There's not a whole bunch of people who are waiting to get in the club.
But the sun's not down yet, so it may just be the hot weather keeping them away till the sun goes down.
That is fair. So, so heading to the club, what do you do before the rest of your coterie wakes?
Probably just get a head start on getting everybody set up, making sure everybody is at their assigned bar, nobody's, called in or not well or what the hell.
Right.
That kind of thing. So, yeah.
You might separate Decker and Deckard and since they're complete polar opposites.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, a lot of them won't be here yet. Remember, I get up early.
Right, I'm just saying, like when you think about bar setup,
We'll get to it.
Vic, when you awake, Romano is already gone. Harvey is just getting his shit together to head to the bar. So what are your first actions? What are you doing?
Guess I'm just heading over, seeing how I can be useful, see how the club line is going.
By the time that you get up and start heading over there, the line hasn't developed any, but although the sun has gone down. When you get there, Harvey is now, like I said, Harvey's waking up. He's getting over there. Jen is walking down the street on the other side, about to cross over. It is about this time period where Jack kind of rounds the corner and kind of gives you a wave, and it was like, busy. We expecting a busy night tonight?
Doesn't seem like it.
He's like, all right. Well, seems he kind of shakes his head and he's like, seems kind of weird sometimes to me. Like sometimes we're super busy on nights when I wouldn't expect us to be busy. Like things like all of a sudden a bunch of people show up, and then nights when I would think that everybody would be at the bar trying to get something cold in their mouth, nobody's here. Because it's just kind of seems like a weird ebb and flow.
Yeah, it can sometimes be weird.
Mr. Starwell, when you awaken, what is your first set of actions for the evening? What do you?
I purposefully sit down and try and remember our current alliances and which ones are actually active and which ones aren't. If you could help me remember. I think we haven't heard from Serenity, but we got a bartender from her. Same thing from.
You didn't get a bar. You haven't gotten a bartender from Serenity. You haven't heard from Serenity.
Sabine.
Sabine. We got somebody from Sabine,
and
but we haven't
from
heard
Madison.
from Serenity.
Yeah, you haven't heard anything from Serenity since basically the night of Elysium. For that matter, you haven't heard from the Nos since the night of Elysium. You haven't heard from many of the different groups who were there. The Tremere, who were taking up residence in your apartment, have, other than Eugene, have gone to ground. You haven't seen Mariah. In fact, really, the outside of the Hakata and the ones the kindred who you've been keeping reasonably close, the only real kindred who you seem to have had reasonably regular dealings with have actually been the Cam.
which is not a good sign.
It's not exactly a lack of trying. Most of the groups we've always tried to get to align with us just are fiercely independent.
And so are we, and a lot of our actions, I guess, have come off as nonchalant or reckless.
But
It might have.
isn't that kind of the way of the Anarch? Shouldn't we be more?
It is.
Just
I'm worried that this
saying.
is a trap for releasing whatever his meat puppet master name was.
Abraham.
Abraham, thank you. I know that was with an A. All right, thank you. I text Al and I say, I don't think Jen should work tonight. I think she should get the night off, and make sure everybody know that she's not working tonight. So
Reasoning?
suspicions.
I say, okay, I will spread that message, but let's chat
I'll
about
just
it.
say, I'll text. I'll follow up with Abraham.
I didn't think we had a means of communicating with Abraham.
No, we don't. But like this has been a suspicion of mine from the beginning. Whatever. So that's the tech. I'll talk soon.
Okay.
Get dressed as, go to the lake, the nines, because it's council meeting night, and then.
Okay, I'll get the bars set up and then I'll have to head back to the apartment. But yeah, let me get on that.
Oh no.
Do we know like whether we're like is council just like Michael alone, like and
theoretically
to do our own things, or would we want to go with Michael? Like I'm just not sure on how the council works per se.
Yeah, likewise.
So what could reasonably be expected is that there will be each of the individual members would probably also have their own little entourages or bodyguards or things like that. So it would not be some of them might consider it a bit of a power move to show up by themselves, kind of that I don't need anybody, I can fend for myself. But there are almost certainly going to be others who will show up with a full entourage.
Then I think my plans tonight would be to go with Michael, like just to at least be there in case anything goes down. At least if everyone else is going to have an entourage and bodyguards, then I think I would. My plans for tonight would be to go with Michael.
But I still need to get my bars organized and get in touch with Jen, so that's my next step.
So, Michael, what are you going to do with Wisteria?
And if I'm remembering correctly, cannibals are like deeply frowned upon and want to be destroyed by the Cam.
No, that's
okay.
There's, I mean, again, there's nothing that would probably indicate to them externally that she's anything more than a Toreador.
Okay.
However, I believe it was Carmine who noted to you that Renato was a very big follower in the tenets and the traditions. And one of their traditions is that if you're going to sire, you have to get permission from your prince.
So that's where we fucked up. Not in what she is, but how she was made.
It's not like we had time to get permission. Like this was a,
If you played Coteries in New York, you'd know that they don't give a fuck about your excuses.
Or bloodlines, for that matter.
Yep.
Right. Or position.
So the question is what are you going to do with Westy for the evening?
She needs a babysitter, dude.
I know she needs a babysitter. I'm trying to. I'm gonna go. I'm going to ask her to just hang tight, and I'm gonna go down talk to Eugene.
So when you go down to knock on Eugene's door, there's no response. In fact, it is not even as if he's not responding, but like
There's an empty room.
no, it's you can't hear anything. Like it's
Yeah.
not. There's no chemical beakers burbling behind the door. There's no no sounds of movement. Nothing. It's
Nobody's home.
Yeah.
For better or worse, nobody's home. Shit. Who do we have?
I was gonna say maybe Romano. I mean, I know
Yeah,
she's
I'm thinking.
she's
I mean, she would be a really good. Like, I hate to ask her to bounce tonight, but it would be a.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a babysitter and she's providing coverage at the same time, learning the ropes. So,
and it'd be Romano
Yeah.
and Harvey. That could both be there for.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna go back up and tell her that tonight there's a bunch of political stuff that really has to happen, and for all of our sakes, I think you should stay here, and if you wouldn't mind help covering our turf.
She seems a little like she doesn't really understand a lot of the words you're using. But she agrees to help. So when you head down to the club,
Oh, before I leave, I ask her if she's hungry.
she kind of shakes her head and she's like, not right now.
Okay.
So circling back, Al, when you're already at the bar, you're already setting up. Jen walks in. She is backwards cap, wearing a black sports bra and a pair of black overalls, and looks like she is ready to work. She's got boots on. And she kind of walks up to the bar and gives you a smile, and she's like, "Hey, what's going on?"
actually, a little bit of bad news. As
Not
you can
necessarily
see,
bad.
as
Yeah.
you can
Sorry.
as you can see by the line out there, we're not thinking it's gonna be so busy tonight. So we're gonna let you have this one off. I'm sorry you made it all the way here before I could text you. I'm totally willing to pay for your Uber back. It's not an issue. We just didn't have a we thought we'd be busier by the time us management got over here, and it just doesn't look like it's going to be a payoff kind of night.
She's like, "Oh, that's fine. I guess." She kind of leans on the bar. She goes, "Okay, well, I mean, if it's not gonna be all that busy, I guess what are you doing?"
I actually have a meeting off site with the rest of management tonight.
Oh, she goes,
So
"That sucks." auspics.
Yeah.
She goes, all right, well, I guess I will see you tomorrow then.
Yeah. As far as I know, if things, don't stay as slow as tonight.
She goes, all right, well, then I guess we'll see you later.
I fish
She
out a 20 and give it to her for a ride back.
she kind of shakes it off. She's like, it's okay. I've got some stuff on this side of town I can do.
Okie doke. Well, you know where to find us. And, message if you need anything.
She nods. She kind of like looks around as she leaves.
I want to. Let's do Sense the Unseen.
Oh, I was thinking another one, but
well, let me look at my page. I don't have all of the things memorized.
I was
we know
thinking
how my memory works. One thing at a time.
The one where you can like see, hear, and like you can perceive the senses of the.
Oh, share senses.
Share senses. I don't know. Just it's a long shot. That was the first one that came to mind for me. Though
let's piggyback here. Let's do share the senses before she gets too far away from me. And then if I don't get anything off of that, then we'll ping Sense the Unseen.
Okay, so as a note, she has basically already turned and walked away. So you're going to share senses. What senses are you attempting to feel here? And keep in mind that not to put a point on it, but if you screw that up, she will know that somebody is attempting to get in her head.
This is true. With her abilities, yeah. So far, I've mostly done this to mortals, so.
Okay, yeah, so Sense the Unseen is probably the safer bet, because she wouldn't know that's even going on.
Thank you, Storyteller, for that warning. Okay, so roll.
Sense the Unseen is wits and auspics. Because if there's anything I have memorized from this game,
it's wits and auspics.
It's wits and auspics.
Oh, let me get back into chat. There we go. Oh no, tell me it's not acting up.
Is it not working? It's acting up. All right, be right back.
Okie doke. While we're doing that, welcome Raiders!
Oh, we got Raiders.
We got Raiders. Thank you all for joining us here. We got started just a bit ago. We are playing Vampire the Masquerade, Philly by Night 5th edition. Where actually you're joining us for our 60th episode. So it's amazing. We've been together for a very long time. And we hope that you'll stick around, listen to our story. And we're going to jump back into it.
Yep, we're back. And it works.
Doke. So click this one. No modifiers. Willpower.
I was going to say, are you going to burn a willpower for this one?
Yeah, because she's such a freaking mystery. So, rerolling 1. How many am I rerolling?
You can reroll up to 3. Yeah, you can reroll up to 3. You only got 1 success off of that, so.
Oh! Something is against me tonight.
I was gonna say, it's gonna be that night, isn't it? All right.
Let me move this up a little so we can see rolls. There we go.
You don't see anything.
Of course not. I'm blind as a friggin' bat.
There is nothing that you can see. And if there was something that you could see, you still don't see it.
Yep.
So it is about this point. Uh, she has walked off. Uh, Declan and Kennedy have both shown up. Um, everybody who is there, other than the uh, then of course Jen, has shown up and has headed to their positions on their bars. Um, would be about this point when Michael, when you would show up with Westy. Romano is at the front door with Jack and um, with Harvey. So when you walk up with Westy, they all kind of give you a look and are like, "What's up, boss?" Microphone.
Microphone.
There you are. I basically tell them, like, it's council night. And I think the best place for Westy is here tonight with you guys. She can help guard the door, and she can help out over here in case anything happens while we're out. And then you guys can make sure nothing happens to her too, because she's now a part of the family.
Jack kind of gives a look and is like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh, I forgot Jack was there.
Oh.
Romano's cuts in and he was like, "Also, boss, not that that's not an unimportant thing to talk about since we're like a family here." He says, but he kind of looks out the door. He goes, "Like, you've already said Jen. Jen has already left because there's not going to be anybody here. We don't need 4 people on door."
I just think that staying together, yeah. Like,
Shadow.
okay, hold on. How let me say this?
Harvey's not very big, right? He's just been like on the door because we needed someone else on door.
Yeah, Harvey is actually fairly. He's relatively speaking of the people who are on door. He's actually the smallest one. He was originally one of the Thin Bloods from Ten Toes Wreckers. That was actually where you guys pulled him from originally.
Well, then maybe it's time to move him back to the Wreckers and get that back up and running. I don't know. Like if
Yeah.
we've got,
if we survive tonight, I think that's a really good thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, we got 4 people on door. We don't need 4 people.
Well,
Harvey seems to be the least qualified.
I don't necessarily know that I would consider Harvey the least qualified, but he's also the only one who maybe has experience doing something other than door.
Okay, so sorry, I was a little spacey before. I didn't realize like Jack was there. If I had, I would have asked Romano just for a quick side chat. But now that we're here, it would be listen. Like management's not going to be around. I'd rather everybody was like hanging out together just in case anything happens unexpected, and since it's a slow night, it's the best night to show her the ropes.
Westy is like looking at the 3 guys and is giving them all very confused looks about the situation. Jack is looking very confused about the entire situation. Harvey is just kind of smirking to himself, and Romano is looking at you, and you can literally see the "Why am I on babysitting duty?"
Well, it's either Romano or Moira. And yeah, I'm gonna be like, Moira, be like, if like, I'll talk to Moira, see if she can like chip in training her tonight.
Harvey's like, yeah, if you turn her over to Moira, you might as well just send her straight to Clyde because that's exactly what she's going to do.
Cleaning shit from the basement.
All right. Sorry, Romano.
So, Westy starts talking with all of them. Where do the three of you meet up? In the
I would have told Westy during the breakdown, like of her initial about the masquerade, and not to tell anybody.
Okay. Just to ask, what exactly did you tell her?
I told her that nobody can know what she is now or what happened.
Okay. Anything else?
Nobody from your past life. Stay away from the sun and don't be seen if you get hungry.
Okay. So, where do you guys meet up?
Well, I had to go back to the apartment to get dressed for the evening, so I know that's where I'm at currently.
Sorry. Don't eat without me. I'll be home. That's it. That's what I would have told her.
Okay. So, Al, you're heading back to the apartments to dress up for tonight. Vic, what are you doing?
Like I said, I was down at the. I was going down to the door just to check on Romano and everyone else. So I probably would have been down there when Michael had the interaction and but yeah, I guess just seeing where Michael needs me to be and what the game plan is for tonight.
So, where are is there anything else that you guys are doing before you head to this meeting?
I'm packing the trunk with all the guns and the ammunitions just in case. I've got Stubby with me.
Yeah,
That might seem don't go too overboard because that might seem like I don't like I'm
Just the
very
trunk.
hesitant. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I would definitely like to call Threnody. See if she answers.
There is no answer.
damn, what is up with her?
Not only is there no answer, the number actually goes straight to voicemail.
Okay.
And
So
actually to add on to that,
the voicemail is full.
Is full. Yep.
I'm wondering if I had something of hers, if my premonition would be helpful.
I don't know that you necessarily need something of hers. Just something of hers helps. I think.
Let me double check.
Be back.
I'd like to call I guess Carmine. See if we'll be seeing him.
When you call Carmine, Ariel actually picks up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, hey there, what's going on?
Just calling to see if could chat with Carmine.
He's a little busy right now. Can you leave a message? Is this important? Like, is what's going on?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Oh, all right.
Dread falls over me as I realize we're alone going into this. We might have no allies left. Uh,
I mean,
is there
would it be worth the
anything?
shot just to drive over to him and try to see about meeting in person?
No, like how much time do we have before council?
You basically need to be on your way.
Yeah, we should
Oh,
leave.
yeah.
Like it's time to go now. I'm going to pull Romano and Moira aside, and I'm going to be like, keep a tight house. Jen was asked to leave, but she was to take the night off tonight. But I don't know what's going to happen tonight. I just think that it's slow and we're going to be gone. So keep your heads on.
Moira looks at you with a little bit of consternation and is like, is this, if you're this concerned, is this really the best solution? Is this the best situation to be?
We should probably just close down.
She's like, oh, well, maybe we should, but unfortunately, we're a little bit at odds. We could really use a little bit of income right now.
Yeah. What do you recommend?
She goes, I have no idea. She kind of shakes her head. She goes, I don't know. She goes, I don't. She goes, I don't get the feeling like we're gonna get like ambushed like we did that one night. She goes, but if I was going, she goes, if I was trying to lop the head off of the organization, she goes, this is as close to walking into a den of lions as you've ever done. She goes, you need to be very careful.
I am very well aware of that. I think this is the closest I've come to fear in a couple decades.
She clasps you on the arm and she goes, you could always back out. It would probably be problematic in some way, shape, or form if you no-showed or.
What kind of message would that send about us? That we're weak?
Well, what is weakness? Where are we strong?
I don't know. I'm not smart enough to make political decisions.
This, the idea, if I didn't take counsel, somebody else would, was like the wreckers that I was thinking that they were like saying.
Yeah, no, they're looking for an anarch. They were looking for an anarch on the council, and if you didn't accept, they said they had a few other people that they were going to go to. But you were top of the list. So if I remember correctly, is that correct?
The actual what was actually supposed to happen was that they were going to ask Reese to take the position.
And
Sabine interjected,
yeah,
and put you on the list instead.
I just feel like we gotta grab this one by the horns right away.
Yeah.
If we're gonna have any chance of putting our influence into any of it.
Because if we skip out on the council meeting, then Reese is going to be on the council because they're going to be like, oh well, she didn't show up or he didn't show up for the first one, so that new council member. So yeah, I hate to say it, but I feel like this is a mandatory thing.
Well, then, all right. So back into it. I turn to Moriam and like, well, hopefully I still have some claws too.
She gives you a kiss on the cheek. She goes, "We'll see you later this evening." So, as you guys head out to the car, this would seem like an appropriate moment to do a little bit of housekeeping.
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 Looks like Vic is keeping his head tonight.
All right.
Looks like Al is waking up a little hungrier than usual. That hunger is crawling up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm at 2, so we need to do maybe something on the way if we have
Little
time.
drive through.
Yeah, right.
Little happy meal.
If we have time.
If we have time.
You unfortunately do not have time on the way there.
Of course.
Awesome.
great.
I'm so close to Beast. Let it go. Let's do it.
And Mr. Starwell is keeping it under control. So, where is the meeting tonight? Well, tonight the Elysium is being held in the LaSalle University Art Museum. It is deep in Camarilla territory and is perhaps most noteworthy for the very, shall we say, university style decor. There are Renaissance paintings there. There are local campus paintings, student artwork there. It is not as prestigious as some other places that they might have held it. But it is a interesting junction point between old artwork and new artwork. And the immediate impression that Renato is attempting to make the point that this is a junction of the old and the new is certainly not lost on any of you. When you pull up and park, a security guard comes out. He is all black everything. The badge is in black. The flag that's on his shoulder is black on black. It is all black everything. The only things that are really absent are both his name tag and the company that he's supposed to work for. He walks up, and as he's walking up, he radios really quickly something, and he looks to you, Mr. Starwell, and says, "Michael Starwell?"
I nod.
And he goes, "If you follow me, I'll take you to the appointed place, sir."
And of my coterie?
He looks at them, kind of looks them up and down, and gives like a short nod, and he goes, "Them too."
We follow?
So he walks and starts taking you through the front doors. It's almost exactly like you'd be going in if you were heading just straight to the art gallery itself. But when you get inside, you walk down a long hallway that is almost conspicuously empty. In any other case, this is a major would feel like a major thoroughfare. That feels like inexplicably there are no students, there's no faculty, there's nothing there. It is almost as if there is something that is keeping people from coming around. What's an Auspex if you're going to use Sense the Unseen?
Am I able to help on this one?
You can't help with disciplines.
Oh,
You could
yeah.
also do Wits and Sense the Unseen if you wanted to,
Yeah.
as an independent role.
Okay.
But
This one's dreaming.
Al, when you look around using Sense the Unseen, you immediately pick up on two separate people. One is a Nosferatu who is. She looks very, very curvy. She was very, very, very feminine when she was in her real life. But a lot of that has been unfortunately lost. The flesh that you can see looks like it's permanently in a state of putrefaction. Like she looks like she's actively rotting.
I'm at a 1 hunger, right?
Yes, you are.
All right, so 3 and 1.
So, Michael, you see the same Nos. Al, what you see that Michael does not, however, is there is a gentleman on the other end of the hallway who you actually walked right by. He is tall, muscular, like a runner is muscular, not
Okay.
bulky. He doesn't
Lean.
look like, he doesn't look like Westy or like Vic. He looks like he's like a rock climber or something like that.
Yeah.
Very crew cut, square chin, very Boy Scout looking. Armed to the teeth. Like there is not a single place on him that doesn't have a gun or a set of knives or stakes that are holstered. He is armed to the absolute teeth. Vic, you don't. There's not a roll that needs to be done. You can the biggest smell that you smell is that nos.
Okay.
It is that rotting, putrefied smell is overwhelming.
I smell what Al sees.
Right. It is one of those things where you don't know how anybody, or let me rephrase that. The fact that there's nobody in this hallway is probably as much for her benefit as is for the people who aren't there's benefit, because there's no way that anybody could be here and not smell that awful smell and not immediately be like, what the fuck is this? The guard takes you to a boiler room door. He opens it and he walks through. It's a short flight of stairs down, like a half flight down onto the boiler room floor. He walks you all the way to the back through another door and then down a full flight of stairs here. It is dusty. The humidity here is uncomfortable. It's air conditioned, which gives it a cold, wet feeling. You know that if you were human, this would feel unwelcoming, to say the least. As you descend down the stairs, there's another door. He opens it. And when you walk through, it is an art gallery unto itself that is beautifully framed pieces of art. Some of them are tiny, they're maybe the size of a postcard. A few of them are so large that even if Vic stands in front of them, you can still see around them. All of them are depicting on the walls varying kindred ideas, perspectives, clan symbols, stories from the lore. And there is a group of people who are meandering around, talking. It is an almost kind of informal circle. As you guys walk in, the guard basically lets you in, and then he leaves and closes the door behind you. Looking around the room, you can immediately point. Renato is talking with Imogen and Hector.
Well, there's Hector.
You see Mariah looking at a painting thoughtfully. Abrasi is standing in the center of the room, eyeing you almost contemptuously, doing very little to attempt to keep his emotional state in check. Elsewhere in the room, you see Sabine, who is engaged in conversation with a woman who you have seen but have never actually met. You believe her name is Helena. You think that she's a Putanesca, but you're not entirely sure. On another side of the room, there is another conversation going on between Valentin, Royce, and Bianca. So, what do you do first?
Uh, I guess I'd have to go to say hi to Romano first.
So you head to Renato and
Renato.
Imogen and Hector. When you walk up, Renato greets you with a smile, as does Imogen, while Hector remains as stoically faced as ever. Renato nods and says, "It is good that you came. There were some here who thought that perhaps you would not have the stomach for it. I'm glad to see that they were wrong."
I have a habit of doing that.
Imogen smiles at you and says, "That's good." She says, the kindred in these nights need better leaders who have the stomach to do the work that needs to be done."
I'm interested to see what that work entails.
Renato nods. He says, "We're going to get it started in a couple minutes. If you want to go talk to some of the other people here before you do, you still have a little bit of time, but not much. We are starting soon."
Thank you. I would love to go say my salutations.
They return to their conversation. So where do you head next?
Do I catch anything from their conversation as I leave?
Not really.
Okay.
Hector, the closest that you find is that Hector is talking about security for the event, that they've done sweeps and haven't found anything.
Okay.
Also, just for my character, like I'm trying to kind of frame the or kind of get information about how things normally operate. Like, do all of these council members' bodyguards follow them around in the room? If not, then I would probably want to follow suit, and step aside for a little bit, but keep an eye from a distance. Or
so it's difficult. It's kind of difficult to see. It's very obvious that Hector is staying very close to Renato. This is not a particularly large space. It's certainly large enough for people to mill around and look at the artwork and whatnot, but there's not a whole lot of additional people who seem to be standing at attention. The closest that you have is that the group of Valentin, Bianca, and Royce. There is a bit of a crowd over there, hangers-on, things like that. Angela is there with Royce, with her arm around him. But then, for instance, Sabine has a lone guard with her, who you've never seen before.
okay.
And then some of them have no one there. Helena Putineska doesn't appear to have anybody who's there with her. The same could honestly be said for Mariah, although that's probably because she doesn't feel really the need to.
Okay. All right.
Somebody guarding her.
Just trying to get a judge of where I'm supposed to stand, or where I'm supposed to be, and not trying to crowd up too much on Michael and make it seem So.
Fair,
So
fair.
yeah, I'll kind of play the room and kind of keep the distance that I'm seeing a lot of other people keeping, and just keep a close eye.
Al, what are you doing? What are you thinking while you're watching all of this?
I think at this point I'd just kind of be blending into the shadows. Just kind of observing everybody, the interactions, who's getting chummy with who. Just kind of staying out of the way.
Fair, very fair. So, Michael, who do you head to talk to next, knowing that you don't have a whole lot of time before the meeting starts?
Sabine is talking to who again?
To Helena Putineska.
And Moira, not Moira. What's her face? Is just looking at a painting.
And yeah, Mariah is just kind of standing off to the side.
Is she trying to avoid my my eyes or anything? Or is she just staring
Mariah,
at
no, she's looking at the artwork.
Okay. I go up and say hi to Sabine and make Helena's acquaintance.
So when you walk up, Sabine puts her arm around you and gives you a kiss on the cheek, and whispers in your ear as she goes, "I am so happy you're here." Helena holds out a hand and goes, "I don't think we've had the opportunity to be acquainted quite yet." She goes,
I don't.
She goes, you were very well known in our circles, but that's to be expected that perhaps you are not nearly as acquainted with us. She shakes your hand very, very formally. She goes, I do find it interesting that Carmine seems to place so much trust in your coterie when you're not part of the family.
It is a blessed mystery to us as well.
She gives you kind of a smirk and she goes, well, you know what they say. If you're ever getting something for free, you're the product.
They do say that.
Mm.
Sabine looks at the three of you and says, this is going to be a interesting evening, I think.
Definitely be educational, that's for sure.
Abrasi clears his voice and says, as the keeper of Elysium, I am calling things to order. He goes, as is common for Elysium, there will be no uses of any of your disciplines. It says, if you feel anyone using their disciplines, you are to notify myself immediately. It says, while this is not a formal Elysium in terms of being open to the public, it says the same rules will apply. With that, the meeting is started. He steps to the edge of the room, and everybody kind of gathers into a circle, except for Mariah, who turns and leans against the wall and seems to be kind of listening from the back of the room. Renato lifts a goblet of Vitae. Says, as the newly declared Prince of Philadelphia, said, I welcome all of you to our first council meeting. He gestures to Imogen. He goes, my seneschal, Imogen. He gestures to Hector. And he says, our new sheriff. He motions to Mariah in the back. He goes, our scourge, ever persistent. He goes, and now each of you is counsel. He gestures to Royce. He goes, Primogen for the Ventru, Royce. Gesturing to the woman standing next to him with her shaved head and white. Says, Bianca, Primogen of the Malkavians. Next to him, Valentin, still in his Craven the Hunter cosplay, gestures and says, Valentin, Primogen for the gangrel. He opens a hand and points to Sabine and says, Sabine, Primogen of the Ministry. Pointing to Helena, he says, though not a formal member of the council, Miss Putinesca has agreed to stand in as the representative for the Hakata.
Okay.
Gesturing to you, Michael, says, and Mr. Starwell has agreed to act as the voice for the Anarchs. When he says that, there is immediate rattle through the room. Royce lifts his hand and says, excuse me, why are we giving a voice to these fucking animals? He says,
Well, we acknowledge you.
he goes, they don't have any say in how we do things. Renato holds up a hand and says, Mr. Starwell and the Anarchs are in position of authority. Says, though they are not members of the Ivory Tower, and they understand that this is temporary. He says, we have other issues in the city that need to be fixed before our internal politics can be, shall we say, fixed. So, while your objection, Royce, is noted, they are here at my behest. Royce snaps his teeth closed with an audible click. Renato says, to that end, our first official act of business, says, as Prince, we are no longer going to be contesting Anarch territories. Says, for the time being, territories that are currently claimed by the Anarchs are theirs to govern as they please. Says, with that said, he turns to you, Michael, and says, they are also your responsibility. And says, I am granting you this authority and this leniency to bring order to your own house. So the problems that are there and within are yours to deal with. It says, we will not interfere, we will not interject. Any offenses that are being conducted, either openly or secretively, as of this moment, are done for the time being, as we have previously discussed. With that said, you are also responsible for the things that go on. in the Anarch territories. Breaches of the Masquerade are on you. You are the final arbiter of your own authority in these territories. But Sabine looks at you, Michael, and gives a semi-worried smile. Renato says, before we move forward, now that this is settled, is there anything, any individual things that need to be brought forward? Reese immediately raises his hand and says, yeah, we need to do something about Fairmont. When he says that, Valentin immediately looks over at him and is cutting his eyes. Royce says, the Gangrel aren't doing their part to keep the wolves in line. Says the wolves have become a problem. Says, I know that there's a truce. They've violated the truce. We should uphold our side of it and wipe them out. Says there's no way that they could possibly stand up to us. Renato raises an eyebrow and says, any other thoughts on the matter?
I know I'm not a member of the council, but if
yeah. Go for it.
But if I can say anything, they didn't break their truce. It was a vampire that came out of that forest, not a werewolf or a vampire werewolf. But either way, they were both vampire and werewolf, and thus did not break the truce.
Hector looks to you, Michael, and goes,
Think that's gonna fly?
is this true? Do you have proof?
We don't have proof, do we? Just eyewitness accounts.
Royce scoffs and says, so in other words, bullshit you made up. Got it.
Do you have proof that it was them?
He goes, I've been actively negotiating with the Gangrel almost nightly for weeks now.
No, that it was werewolves. Do you have proof that it was werewolves that broke the truce?
He goes, we have several different people who have eyewitness accounts just like yours.
So easy on the scoffing there, pup.
So how does a vampire werewolf hybrid fit into our treaty?
Everybody kind of looks at you and says, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about the vampire werewolf hybrid that we had helped come out. That's
Well, why would no?
What the Somebody punch him in the back of the skull.
Hold on. Was this not known from?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Even Alita said, "Fuck it, I'm out."
Sorry. We're talking about vampire werewolf
This is
hybrid
why we're
exists.
subordinates. We stand back, let Michael take the verbal brunt of shit, and then when it goes to shit, we use fists. That's what we do. Michael's the smart one.
Okay. How much of that counts?
So how much? Let's put it this way:
Oh, fuck.
how are you going to attempt to reword and fix this?
You're
Okay.
talking about the. Oh, are you asking me to reword it, or are you asking?
No, this is definitely on Michael at this point.
Okay.
Oh, fuck. Okay, how did we know that there's a chimera because we released her and gave her to Abraham?
Not
This is
gave
meta.
her.
This is
We
this
just-
is this is
we-
meta. This is
This is
absolutely
yeah,
meta.
no. We didn't give her to Abraham.
No, she
We
went
just
back.
we let Abraham talk with her, and then Abraham gave her back, and we took her back to the werewolves. Took her back home. So we took her out. We took her back home.
So
And it was it you, Pixie, and
And Scott.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, Idaho.
Okay,
Yeah,
Idaho,
Pixie
yeah.
and Idaho. Yeah.
So okay. Vic,
So-
Allen, Idaho.
So, just, and again, this is, of course, meta, but you would have already known this. If any part of your story involves Abraham, you've already been warned about what that will.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have said anything about that at all. I wouldn't have brought that up. And did he say anything? Did you actually say Abraham
No,
in that moment? Okay, thank God.
I did not. I did not say anything about Abraham.
So I am with good faith supporting Vic's claim that there exists truly a hybrid. Upon our search for proof of Victoria and what's his faces, Charles,
As soon
this
as you
fact crossed our path.
as soon as you verify that, immediately Bianca speaks up and says the aberration needs to be destroyed. And if the werewolves are keeping anything like that from them, then they need to pay.
At this point, I am glaring at Vic.
The rest of the room is basically taking up a hear chant. Renato turns to Valentin and says, "Were the Gangrel aware of this?" Valentin shakes his head and goes, "Of course not." Says there's nothing to even back this pup's claim up.
I should have diminished it. Shit. Well then, if there's nothing to back the claim up, then there's nothing to be destroyed. And it goes back to there is no proof.
Royce immediately points to you and says, "You just verified it. You said that it existed."
Yeah, I did. Shit.
Royce turns to Renata. He goes, "You're new here. You don't know how things are done." He says, "Let me take the lead on this. We'll take care of the werewolves. We'll wipe them out. We'll put Fairmont back under Kindred control the way it always should have been. and then we can put these goddamn dogs, and he gestures to Valentin, back on guard duty like they should have been.
This sounds like you're trying to rework the map that was just solidified.
Renato Ray holds up a finger and looks to you, Michael, and says, does part of Fairmont fall under Anarch territories? He looks back to Hector and goes, it was under my impression that Fairmont was considered to be a sort of neutral ground, that it was not under anybody's control. Is this incorrect?
It is not, right? Do we? We don't. So like I'm looking at the map right now, and the way that it's drawn out, it does go into ours a bit.
Mm-hmm. But Fairmont, for the entire 100 years that you've been here, has always been the wolves.
Yeah. So like I would say exactly. And as it being neutral territory and not contested, it is not within us to interfere in this truce.
So Renato kind of steeples his hands in front of him, says, so what you're effectively saying is that you don't have a claim over Fairmont, that Fairmont is effectively neutral.
What we're saying is the truce
Yes,
wasn't. I'm
that
sorry,
is-
out of game. What we're saying is the truce wasn't broken. That's kind of what I was trying to get at, but I misspoke quite a bit. But the whole point I was trying to get at was the truce wasn't broken. But yeah,
that's moot at this point. At this point, it's like we're dealing with the dust we kicked up. Yes,
I mean, the bag
for
of
the
cats
100
we just shook around and unleashed in this.
for the 100 years that I have been calling the city of Philadelphia my home, that is how it has been respected and treated.
Renato says, then in this case, you should look at this as a boon. Removing the werewolves from Fairmont will restore territories back to you.
That is not an interest that I am. That is nothing that I am interested in pursuing. I don't see how reigniting a new war based on a truce that might or might not have treaty that might or might not have been broken by one clan or another, a reason to focus as this problem primarily.
Renato nods and says, I see what you were saying. However, the introduction of this aberration certainly changes things. We're going to continue this discussion here in about 10 minutes after a bio break.
Yes. Everybody in chat, please stick around. I'm going to run a quick ad. I know we all hate them, but I try to do it on the break as much as I can. Yeah, give it 10 or so minutes and we will be back with you. Right. We should be back. Thanks everybody for sticking around through the bio break. And now we're going to see how we dig ourselves out of this hole we have created. So,
Created.
well, yes. I was trying to be nice, but okay.
So, before Renato can say anything else, Mariah, standing in the back of the room, takes a long drag off her cigarette and says, the answer to this is simple. It says, if there is in fact a hybrid, it needs to be exterminated. If there were kindred and kind who were assisting in perpetuating this, their lives are also forfeit. Said, these abominations are a threat to all of us and have to be dealt with. She says, on the other hand, we have conflicting stories here. Mr. Starwell's group has said that there was, in fact, a hybrid. Valentin is saying there wasn't. So the easy way to do this would be to investigate and discover whether or not there is. If there is one, then that will be considered a breach of the truce, as that was not considered part of it. And the wolves' lives are forfeit. Says, on the other hand, she says, and I'm saying this as somebody who has no desire to have to lead this particular charge. She says, if this is bullshit, she says, then this is more political posturing from Royce. She says, in which case we're the ones in violation of the treaty and we owe them some sort of reparations. She said, but before we can make any sort of assumptions to that, we need to verify whether or not this mythical creature exists. Renato nods and says, wise words, my scourge. Mariah takes another drag and rolls her eyes so hard it's almost palpable. Renato says, so we have agreed on an action regarding this. He says, is there something else that needs to be addressed? Sabine turns to you, Michael, and says, yes, there is something that needs to be addressed. She says, there is currently a coterie of kindred who are making the lives of the kindred in the Northeast exceedingly difficult. They're intruding on commerce, they're attempting to ruin businesses, they're attempting to drive kindred into other territories to keep the territories there for themselves. And Sabine says, so this is my formal petition in front of the council that something be done about the 4 kindred who call themselves the Northeast Anarchs. Renato looks at Sabine and then looks at you, Michael, and says, do you know about these purported anarchs?
Meta question. Do I?
Sure. I mean,
This
This
is
is Reese.
Reese and her followers, yeah.
Who are the other 3?
would be Ajax, Genevieve, and Cyrus.
I will say I have an idea of who they are.
Renato says, is this claim true? That they are infringing on the rights of kindred that are within Anarch lands?
Do I know if it's true or not?
Out of game, they're the ones that actually sent the one guy to our apartments to kill who was it? Was it Kai?
Yeah.
Was it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're the ones that actually sent the guy to kill Kai, and they're the ones that have been like absolutely fuck off, you know.
In addition to that, they would be the ones who, I believe that was a night with Al, Vic, and Idaho, where you guys headed up to Guilt, and Sabine had a long discussion with the 3 of you about the fact that they basically turned the Northeast into a ghost town because they prevent them from hunting there during at night and force them to go hunting in other territories.
Okay. Anybody else from Sabine has stories about this that we've heard, like from Threnody beforehand?
Other than like the fact that every time we've encountered him, they've been like fuck all rude to us every single time. Like the first Elysium, they were the group that like we went up to and we're like, hey, you're Anarchs too. Hey, how's it going?
Try to like work some shit out.
And they were just like, oh, fuck you guys, fuck you. We don't care about you. And,
also, they're the ones who are basically, when they went to go collect Teddy, who were responsible for sending the crew that put Robin through the window or through the mirror.
Right. Ooh, sorry.
Yeah,
and took Teddy from you.
Yeah. Okay. So, thank you. Thanks for the refresher. Hitting play. As far as my knowledge and my experience, I believe this to be true.
Renato
I say this is true.
looks at Hector. Hector kind of gives kind of a cavalier shrug. And Renato looks at you. He goes, then as Prince, I am giving you leeway to execute on the traditions to remove them. We won't help you, but if you decide that the only way to rid yourself of these problem children is to send them to the final deaths, then that will be your decision and on you.
I say thank you.
Sabine
Sabine
looks very pleased about this.
Weren't they weren't they the ones pressuring?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah, they were the ones that were. Yeah.
Good.
And I'm pretty sure they gave Threnody a hard time too.
We wouldn't know. Threnody
beforehand.
MIA.
Beforehand. Because it would have been after the first claim.
I don't remember that any involvement with them in Threnody, but I could just be misremembering. Like I said, we're on session 60, so there's a lot to unpack. So I'm not saying it's not true. I just don't personally remember it.
Obi, thank you. I will take the actions that I see fit.
Renato nods to you and turns to the group and says, "Are there any other claims that need to be dealt with before we attend to the more pressing issues of the evening?" There is some murmuring amongst the groups, but nobody comes forward with anything in particular. Mariah takes another drag and she goes, "We still have the thin blood problem to deal with." Renato kind of shrugs and says, "Well, I agree with you, my Scourge." He says, "That is, I believe, an ongoing situation that will have to be addressed as it comes up." It says, "We need to find the kindred who intruded on Elysium. He steps into the center of the room and says, "We have reason to believe that the tall, thin man was the pack priest of a Sabbat cell here in Philadelphia. It says, "We have also received information that they perhaps are not the only cell here that is working." He says, "As far as I'm concerned, that is the primary focus that we need to put our efforts towards, is the removal of these vermin." He says, "Everything else comes second. The petty squabbles, the internal fighting." He says, "Until the Sabbat are gone from our city, there no one is safe. Nothing is sacred." Bianca looks around the circle and says, "Isn't it strange, however, that there is a coterie here that had a formerly intended Sabbat in their midst, and that two of the members of that purported pack, three if we count the deceased, happen to be friends with our anarchs?"
Wait, can you say that again? I'm so sorry.
We're being accused of.
No. Yeah, but I just want to hear the words.
She points at you, Michael, and she goes, "Isn't it true that your former coterie member was born of one of their mass embraces that even his Sabbat sire
Shit.
was executed by the former prince? She says, isn't it also true that of the two Sabbat who escaped, conveniently due to you, she gestures to you, Michael, didn't you welcome one of them under your roof? Wasn't another one previously, while a former member of the Camarilla? Suddenly they turn, and now they're interacting and have become a member of the Sabbat. She says, I cannot help but think to myself that this is a problem that is not being addressed.
At this point, I lean forward and I say, so what you witnessed upon the priest, right? Performance of blood magic was what you saw as correlation of corruption.
She says, it does seem somewhat interesting to me that the three people who were committing assaults of Elysium were all anarchs, and all of them had ties to you. That seems troublesome.
It does seem troublesome that we have been fighting the Sabbat alone for a long time by ourselves, trying to fight Shaw.
And she interjects, and what of Shaw? She says, it seems, again, highly irregular to me that perhaps the most wanted kindred in Philadelphia suddenly shows up dead at your hands on the exact same time period that your other friends suddenly out themselves as members of a Sabbat
Yes.
pack.
Yes, an orchestrated attack upon us at Elysium by the Sabbat had us targeted. Yes.
She says,
And I did not kill Shaw. Shaw was killed by an individual who was passionately in love and protecting their own, was protecting our own coterie. And we have lost her because of that.
Imogen says, you have lost her. What has happened to this individual? We would be interested in having an audience.
She was, we are not sure. The night of Elysium, when she killed Shaw, it was the last time we saw her before she disappeared into shadows.
Hector looks at you and says, let me get this straight. Says, because I went with, and he gestures to you, Al. Says, so on the same day that there's an attack on Elysium by a Sabbat pack priest who is leading 3 of your friends. Says, and now Shaw ends up dead. We saw the body. He kind of nods to everybody. Says, but you're saying that there was another person there who is now gone, and the proof that would have been down there was, and he gestures to you, who, as she and I saw, was destroyed.
May I speak?
She says, you and I went down there.
I would just like to say that in my defense and in defense of Ruby, who cannot be here to defend herself, this was a massive attack. Shaw came after me, and she reacted in efforts to save me, but was not in control of herself. And so, yes, there is something to be said about that attack. Up to this point, my investigations have not been very fruitful in trying to figure out exactly what I saw that night.
Or where she is.
Exactly, as Michael points out. We have not seen Ruby since that night.
Nor have we stopped looking for her.
Bianca interjects and says, so what you're really saying is that you have no proof of anything that you've just said, except for the fact that you were on site at the murder of one of the city's most renowned Nosferatu. She looks at Renata. She's like, these people shouldn't be on the council. They should be being locked up and interrogated. She points and she goes, they're a threat. Royce is like, I agree. Valentin is like, I think that's a little premature. Helena looks and she goes, well, I have no information on these circumstances. She says, I can tell you as a fact that Carmine would not agree to this. And as soon as she name drops Carmine, Renato kind of his eyebrows raise and he's calling. Sabine also says, she says, no. She says, she gestures to you, Michael. She goes, there are many things. She says, but in all of the time that I've ever spent with them, they have never once shown themselves to even be remotely sympathetic to Sabbat causes. She says, these accusations are baseless. Imogen and Renato look at one another. She whispers in his ear, and he gives a brief shrug and says, well, I think that some of these things deserve additional scrutiny. Says, this is not there's not more than hearsay. Says, he looks at Bianca and goes, there's no reason on why these kindred should be locked up or interrogated further. He looks to you, Michael, and says, however, says, there is a weird amount of coincidence Says, so I will warn you. If you are found to be providing aid to the Sabbat, if you are hiding them, says we will find out. Says, but if you are not, if this is in fact all just simple coincidence, then let it be known that I have no intention of subjecting you to any sort of penalties simply for your errors in personal judgment about who you keep in your personal circles. Says, he turns to the group, he goes, our number one problem is finding out where that pack priest is and where they've gone and bringing them to justice. Any other issues we can deal with between now and then. But that is my primary goal as the new Prince of Philadelphia. He gestures to Mariah and says, I am putting it on you to find out about the wolf problem, if there is a problem. He looks to you, Michael. He goes, I'm certain you will be helping with these investigations. He says,
Thoroughly.
and I'm leaving it to you to deal with the complaint from Sabine regarding these Northeast Anarchs.
There will be more investigations and appropriate action will be taken.
He goes, as I said before, that is your problem to deal with, and we will not interfere. He loops his arm through Imogen's, and he goes, with that, I think that is the end of the topics that I have for this evening. He says, I will leave you to talk amongst yourselves. And says, otherwise, meeting is adjourned. Abrasi and Hector and Mariah join Imogen and Renato, and they walk from the room as everybody kind of goes into little circles to continue talking amongst themselves. So, what do you guys do?
I immediately turn around and look at Vic with like now that I can actually show expressions and stuff, just shoot you the cold knife stare, just, really quickly, and then put on the jovial host party face and go down and go to speak to, I guess, Sabine.
Well, Sabine is standing right next to you. She looks at the three of you and she goes, well, that was a thing.
It was more of a thing than it needed to be. But a thing indeed.
She says, so what are you going to do?
Well, regarding the Northeast problem?
She goes, or the other problems?
I'm not quite sure yet, but definitely something. There's a lot more work to do than I realized.
She She says, Where is Idaho?
No idea. He went off on a journey with his familiar to go find himself. He's been gone for ages. Don't know if he'll come back.
She kind of shakes her head and she goes, It probably would have helped you some to have had him here to speak up against those accusations.
Agreed. But sadly, what is he? He's a Ventru?
Ravnos.
Ravnos. But unfortunately, he decided to lean into his Ravnos ways.
She says, Well, she goes, I can certainly use a drink, so I am heading back to Guild. She says, I dearly hope that you can start resolving some of these issues quickly.
As do I.
She kisses you on the cheek and waves at you, Al, and you, Vic, and she departs. So, are you going to try to approach anybody else there, or are you departing as well?
Who left with Renato?
All of the basically non-council positions left with Renato. So, Imogen, Seneschal, Hector, Sheriff, Mariah is the Scourge, and Abrasi is the Keeper. But all of the other Primogen, basically, except now, of course, Sabine, have left.
Okay, I would like to approach Valentin.
When you approach Valentin, he looks at you and is like, what the fuck?
I fucked up.
He looks around.
I'd like to help unfuck it.
He looks around and he looks at you and he says, understand this. Royce wants this feather in his cap.
That I do know. And I don't want him to get it.
Well, if he gets what he wants, it's going to be an utter bloodbath on both sides.
I know. And I think everybody's had enough bloodshed and loss of kindred.
Let's not say everybody, because some of them thirst for it.
I'll say some of us have lost enough kindred.
He says, keep it. He says also something to keep in mind is that if they do this, if this idiot gets what he wants and starts to walk into Fairmont, then they're effectively giving the wolves free access to the rest of the city.
Yep.
He says, I can think of nothing more terrifying than having literal werewolves stalking our city, hunting kindred. He says, you need to fix this. He says, I don't know how. I don't know how you're going to do it. Says, but Mariah's a fanatic. But even she knows what's going to happen if this turns into a bloodbath. Says, so I'm reasonably sure that if you can fix this, even in the shittiest possible way, that no one will look around and look too hard at it.
Agreed. I will do what I can. Mm.
He says, so, he says, if there's something that I can do to assist in this particular matter, he goes, I will be glad to assist to attempt to avoid this absolute debacle.
Mm-hmm.
He says, but I will make you 2 promises. He says, if I can do something to help you and to assist, if you manage to fix this and prevent this bloodbath, he says, then I will do whatever I can to assist you with your troubles.
Let's hope we can get to that place.
He says, the other promise I make to you. And when he says this, he bares all of his teeth. He says, if the results of what you've said tonight and what you've done tonight result in a war between us and the werewolves, said the werewolves will be the least of your problems.
And rightly so.
He goes, now that we're all on the same page, says, I'm heading for Fairmont because I need to break the news of tonight's utter shit show. And with that, Valentin storms off.
And then I guess I walk down. Or like we're all on the same floor. I don't know why I'm thinking like this is like a fucking
because it was because at the wall because at both at the Walnut Street Theater it was.
Yeah. Are there any friendlies left in the room that could be an asset in the Shaw Ruby debacle?
So the only Primogen that are left in the room, Helena is still looking at art. And then Bianca and Royce are talking amongst themselves.
Okay, I'm gonna go over to Helena and express a thank you for being here on behalf of Carmine.
She nods.
I also say I know tonight's performance doesn't give you much faith in his, but hopefully this is only a bad first impression.
She looks at you, and then she looks at you, Vic. And she very pointedly says, the families are well aware of the deal you made with Carmine. She says, how are you going to protect Madison if you get yourself killed?
I don't plan getting myself killed. I'm
Keep opening your mouth like that, you will. You'll get us all fucking killed.
She looks at you and she just says, there are many in the families who took Carmine's game, whatever he's doing or playing with you, as a sign of weakness, that he is acting outside of the family. Said. She says,
I lost.
I will
I
not.
can't hear anything.
Can you hear me? No.
Testing.
Can you hear me? I can
Can
hear
you see
you.
anybody else? I can't hear. Yeah, I'll refresh.
Can you hear me, Bix?
I can hear you. Yeah.
You're
Al
No,
is
you're not.
gone.
Yeah, no, you don't have audio either.
Oh, and Lita played with the card.
Hello.
I'm good. No refresh on my end. It was just the cat. Like, they put this stupid remote like 4 feet down, and the cats step on it.
Helena,
Hold on. I don't think Martha. I'm getting audio from her. I just don't think she can hear us.
yeah, I can hear. Yep.
I bet they're dead. She didn't charge them today.
Hello.
Any luck?
Hey, can you hear us now?
No.
We can hear you.
Back, baby.
Can you hear us?
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Yeah, my freaking headphones died.
I called it. Because I know that face you make. I know that face you make.
Helena points to you, Vic. Says, I'm certainly not going to be having any discussions about the events of tonight with Carmine, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to find out post haste. Says he's putting a lot of trust in you. Said it would probably be wise to not make him regret that.
I don't plan on it.
She gives you a brief nod and looks to the paintings again, and before she leaves says, it's not even accurate, and walks off.
What painting was she looking at?
It is a painting of the first entrance into the Convention of Thorns.
Oh. Is that the one that Carmine's in?
The Convention of Thorns was the original, shall we say, shattering point between the Camarilla and the Anarchs. Where the two sects started to
Broke off.
Yeah, seriously diverge.
Yeah, okay, I remember which one this is. Yeah.
So, at about this point, both Bianca and Royce have also left, leaving you guys as the last remaining here.
We should just go home.
So, where do you head from here? Are you just heading back to the beacon, or are you headed somewhere else?
How much time do we have in the night?
It's, let's say, like 1:30, 2 a.m., somewhere in there, so you still have a little bit of time.
Somewhere along the drive or somewhere along the way, I would want to
2
talk
more
to
hours.
Michael. Yeah, I would want to talk to Michael about Jack.
There's a reasonably long drive ahead of you from here, as the LaSalle University is like in this area somewhere.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
So you've got a ways to go. So what would you want to tell Michael?
Just about Jack's situation and not really sure how to kind of looking for advice on how to proceed with him. He seems like he really would be a great fit. He's an underdog, he doesn't quit fighting, but he also has a child. Not sure I want to bring him into this world. I'm kind of,
Definitely.
yeah, kind of just wondering what Michael thinks on this situation.
Well, the fact that he still has some connections to this world in the future makes me hesitant as well. But I will talk to Westy about it when we get home.
Okay.
So what exactly is your
I think
so what
going
is
straight back just to make sure everything's okay.
okay? So when you get back to the club, it is pretty dead.
Mm. It.
The when you get in to the club, where do each of you head? Do you stick together? Do you fan out and head to your respective places to talk to people? What do you guys do?
Yeah, I think I would probably just head to the front door, check on Romano, and you know.
I would be finding Westy.
So Westy and is with Romano and Harvey and Jack. They're all at the front door. They're basically just kind of hanging out. Um, when you guys walk up, it is a little humorous um, because she is so much bigger than the other three of them. Um, the
She's our
biggest
orc.
she is just absolutely massive compared to them. She's taller than they are. She is just broad shoulders, just completely ripping muscle. Um, but it's an amusing scene nonetheless, not just because of the size differential, but also because in comparison, she seems very timid and unsure of herself, as opposed to Harvey and Romano, who are very much kind of old hands at this point, and Jack, who seems a bit nervous. Maybe not nervous, maybe on edge is a better way. Like he keeps looking at the difference between Romano and Harvey, and then Harvey to Westy, and even though he's staying good natured, it is very obvious that he is seeing that there is something that is off and is trying to figure out what it is.
I have an idea. Um, I'm having an idea to bring him into a room with Al and just kind of explain things to him and give him the option of like becoming a ghoul or just like you know or Al can wipe his memory of what I just told him and we just let him go like sorry it wasn't a good fit but
That's not too shabby, actually. I've done worse.
I had the same idea. Good job. Let me see that. Um, I would actually just take I would just like when we approach him, be like, "How are you guys? Doing great?" And then like pleasantries aside, I'd just like take Westy, and I'd be like, "Follow me for a bit."
So where do you go with Westy?
I guess to the office.
Okay. So where, Vic, where are you going with Jack? What are you doing?
Where is there a good private? I guess we can go to the green room and just like close, lock the door or something.
So when you get to take him to the green room, he's kind of like, is something up? What's going on?
Need to let you in on how our family works and what our family is. And Al, feel free to interject if my words are not as um, fluid as. Um,
So just to clarify, Al, you're also with him during all of this.
Yeah,
Yes.
I consented to the mind wipe if it's necessary.
Okay.
She's the necessary mind wipe if this goes awry.
Okay.
You can also give him some time to like think about it, because you have like a limit of 24 hours,
What?
I think.
I
Like
don't know.
your wipe can go 24 hours in the backwards, right?
I think it
Yeah.
depends. Okay. But the issue becomes, is he going to come back in 24 hours?
Yeah, if he runs away like 24 hours later, then now he's
So
telling
it's
people.
to me, it's now or never.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be in
I
this
don't
room.
know.
Yeah.
If he says, "Let me think about it,"
So he is definitely eyeing the two of you. Like he's definitely trying to keep a casual or calm demeanor. Um, but he is maybe subconsciously, maybe consciously, um, moving in the green room to basically put you, Vic, between him and Al.
Okay. And I'll try to like I'll even like sit down and like try to make myself as non-threatening as possible. I don't think I have awe. I think I have daunt, which isn't going to help me at all.
Yeah,
I'm just standing against the wall, kind of 1 foot up, trying to not necessarily assert my dominance, but just that I'm kind of too cool for school.
Trying to use the opposite of intimidate. Can I roll intimidation to like roll the opposite?
No. So what do you? So how do you frame this to him? How do you tell him?
Just trying to tell him that I've told you before that we are big fighters for the underdogs, and we really saw what you were kind of made of when you didn't give up on your fight and everything, and that means a lot to people in our family. I know you've heard the word family thrown around a little bit, and you probably don't understand the full context of that. And it's going to be a little bit hard for you to believe, maybe, because, for the most part, people don't believe because we try not to let ourselves be known, but vampires exist. And our family is vampires.
He looks at you, and then he looks at you, Al, and goes, "Huh. Okay." He kind of furrows his brow and he tries to take a very nonchalant attitude about it, but you can tell from his body language that he is attempting to figure out if he is being put in a situation in which he's going to have to fight. And he's like, so why are you telling me this?
I'm telling you this because there are things that go on in this club that this secret could not be kept from you for long. There are things that happen because we are targets, because we are the underdogs, and that we we cheer for the underdogs. And there's no way to keep you out of that without telling you what's going on. So we wanted to make it a choice as to whether or not you wanted to stick around with us. We wanted to give you the full truth, full disclosure. And you can see a lot of all of our family here at the club have been with us for a long time. There's there are benefits. It's we will have your, if you decide to join us, we will have your back. That's but we do want to make it optional, and we're not saying you need to become a vampire. That's not but at least
Considered
everyone,
a entry-level position.
at least
He's-
everyone else in this club. Go ahead.
He kind of like sits back and thinks about it. He's like, I gotta be honest with you. He says, as long as it doesn't have anything to do with me, he goes, I'm here because you guys offered me a job at the front door. He's like, I got a kid at home. He goes, I'm just trying to put some food on the table for him. He's like, but if there's something else to this, he goes, that I'm probably out. He goes, but if this is just you telling me because I need to know what the risks are here, he goes, I'm just trying to get a job that'll help me and my kid.
Then that answers everything we needed to know.
All right.
Seems like you're very trustworthy, and I want to hope that that is true going forward. You don't understand what it would do to us and the club if you go running your mouth.
He goes, that isn't a problem.
And it will not only be the end of your job. Take that how you want.
It would be good to to bring up that because it's not only us.
Well, Vic had said that
not everybody out there is our friend.
Right. He said there were the risks of working here with us, and
so to give you some pointers as far as vampires go, things are very political, but the Masquerade is top. So for all vampires, he
kind of holds up his hands. He goes, how often is this going to come up in conversation with people who are walking through the front door?
To you personally, if they don't know you, you'll never know.
He goes, then awesome. Then this is a conversation we don't need to have. He goes, I am here to help people get through the door and to remove drunk assholes. He's like, that is as far as I need to know.
All right. Well, if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to ask.
I know that
this conversation is a violation of the Masquerade. Just noting. So if he's not going to be ghouled, he does have to be forgotten that you had this conversation.
He's saying he's going to keep the Masquerade. Like he's just.
Okay. Sorry. I just had a thought and a rain and I got panicked.
No. He's saying he's going to be hush about the whole thing. He just doesn't
wants the job too much.
He wants the job. He just doesn't want to be a vampire or or
a ghoul. Got it.
I'd like to.
I mean, you could also explain ghouling to him too. there's any.
Nah, he said he wanted
He said
nothing more than the job.
Yeah,
He made
yeah,
that
that's why I
specific.
just said if you have any. Yeah, so I just said if you have any other questions, let us know. But I'm not. I'm done trying to explain stuff.
He's like, okay, cool. He's like, yeah. He's like, job's fine, everything's fine. He goes, I don't talk about my work when I leave my job. So
Look, I want to get to know you better. I know I work the bars, you're working the door. We don't crisscross paths very much. I want to get to know you better. You seem like a cool enough guy.
he
But be warned.
he
You running your mouth puts all of us in danger, and I have my ways of making you forget that we exist.
he looks at you and he's like, don't have to worry about it. And he goes, I don't think we're gonna. He goes, I don't think you'll have to worry about crossing paths with me too much. I will stay out of your way.
Otherwise, I'm kind of fun to get along with. Just don't piss me off.
He's like,
And I kind of give him a little love tap on the shoulder.
before you can even do that, he quickly retreats back, and when he sees that he's like taking up like a boxer stance, you can actually feel that his heart rate is going up.
Yo, my dude.
Relax.
It was just a gesture, friendly gesture.
You're protected here.
He's like
You're
he's
like
like
a foot taller than me, man. Like what am I gonna do without my brass knuckles?
uh, keep in mind, since you picked up that lore sheet, you also have a flaw that goes along with it.
Bahari.
Which part of that?
I'm looking. Hold on.
I took my Bahari. Do that part. I just did my.
First cursed. Lilith's worshippers maintain that she was the first living being cursed by God before Adam, Eve, or Cain. The Baharis tried to emulate Lilith's lesser curse, and in doing so find their Cainite weaknesses lessened. You retain your clan bane, but you can walk in the first hour of daylight and final hour of dusk. You can also engage in intercourse without rousing the blood. However, you radiate danger, the equivalent of the obvious predator flaw.
So why has no one else ever reacted to this?
Because I don't know.
I mean, he's mortal, so he's not.
There's so been a lot of like.
The obvious answer would be that, well, other people who you have known may be looking at you and be like, oh yeah, I know Al, and are using their previous knowledge of you to overlook the obvious fear that they feel about you. He has only known you since you've been a Bahari.
But wouldn't the same be said for someone like Robin?
Robin's a ghoul.
Before. Just saying, I don't remember that this ever happening before, so it just feels odd. Okay. Interesting. I go ahead and back up, realizing my transgression. Apologize.
He's like, it's cool. He's like I said, you and I are probably not going to cross paths too much.
If that makes your life easier, man.
He's like, this is just a job. It's a job I like, but he's like, it's just a job. He looks at you, Vic, and he's like, I guess we can, now that we've had this discussion, we can head back out to be with the other people.
Yeah, sure. Only other thing to know is Westeria became part of our family, not
He's
by
like,
her.
I don't want to know.
Oh, okay.
I get the feeling, meta, but I get the feeling at this point he just wants to be told where to be, when to be there, and what time he's clocking out. So from this point forward, you need to probably tell Romano and Wisteria, look, he doesn't want to know. He doesn't give a shit about our
He knows, but he doesn't want to know.
exactly. And so they
He's
just need
fine
to
with
be
not
respectful of
knowing.
that
Right.
and keep their
No,
fucking
yeah,
mouth shut.
no. I plan on having a talk with them.
Okay.
So,
What's it called? Yeah, he doesn't care what the why is. He only wants to know where and when, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And what. Absolutely no why.
Yeah,
So-
awesome.
Mr. Starwell, what are you doing during this time period?
Other than shitting a metaphorical brick,
Mm-hmm.
as I'm walking through the club, I'm checking on the places with with Wisteria. I'm gonna have my like hand through her arm.
So you went to go pick her up and take her from the front.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's like walking along next to you,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just kind of like looking around, and she's like, is she's just kind of like, so what's next?
And I'm like, well, we're gonna definitely have to fill you in on some recent history, and then we're gonna figure out what you want to do.
She's like, okay. She's like, she keeps like looking at these people, and she's like, this is so weird. She's like, I just, she goes, I don't know, like, feels weird to have to give up one way of living your life to live like this, I guess.
I mean,
She's
it's
like,
unfortunate.
she's like, what? I mean, why do you do it? She's like, do people like us like? She's like, I'm there's. She's like, this maybe this is morbid. She's like, but like, is like suicide a thing? Do people wake up like this and are just like, oh fuck this, and decide to check out early, or is there like a farm somewhere where there's just a whole bunch of depressed assholes that live forever, and they feel trapped forever, and that's just their lot?
So, suicide is a possibility, and we even have a form of veganism or vegetarianism.
She says, yeah, after last night, I don't think that's gonna be my lot in this life.
Meta question. I know that what I learned from Carmine was that she's a carnivore, and animal meat doesn't work, right?
So, the let me give you a more firm answer.
Okay.
Uh, the so the answer is the animals would be half as effective.
Okay.
So, in order to slake Westy's thirst, she's going to have to consume a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, that might be, that might be a thing if she can. And again, the other part about that being is that animal blood doesn't have nearly the same, shall we say, flavor or satisfaction as human blood does. In addition
And she's
to,
already had a problem with like bagged blood being not good to taste.
and in addition to that, um, she mentioned offhand to you that she was some form of vegetarian or vegan on her first night. So she may or may not be all that keen on suddenly giving up and deciding to eat whole cows. On the flip side of that,
She
eating,
might prefer to eating people's livers.
that's fair. She
Okay.
she asked you, she goes, how, she goes, is there anything to be, she goes, I'm assuming it's like in the movies, have to stay away from crosses, have to stay away from running water.
No. No. A lot of the movies is bullshit. Cross does nothing to us. Running water does nothing to us. You don't even have an obsessive need to count unless you already were OCD before you were turned.
She says, stake through the heart, that'll kill us.
Put us in torpor, kind of like a coma.
She goes, oh, okay. What about, can we bleed to death? I mean, like if somebody cuts my throat, is that a,
Beheading works, and sun is our is our is our biggest foe. Unless you are a thin blood,
she goes, oh,
or
what?
some people when they receive the kiss retain half of their humanity or parts of their humanity, and some of those can walk in the sunlight.
She's like, she thinks about it for a second. She goes, I can't tell you if I think that's wonderful or stupid. She goes, I'm leaning towards stupid. That sounds stupid.
Yeah, the world is a stupid place. I'm sure you've known this for a long time.
She goes, yeah, I have.
So here's the low and down. And then I'm going to break down for her basically uh, how vampires sometimes have lived so old that there's nothing for them, that they walk into the sunlight and like we call it the void. I'm going to break down the types of vampires there are and their preferences. I'm going to break down.
You just need to write, the manual, the 101. That way, you just,
Give her
here
the
you
player's
go.
guide. Here you go.
And I'm going to break down like what we learned about the farm and what they do and what the likelihood of her not eating people are. And then also break down how we have at the moment a source for you, but we do also have promises to get a better situation going.
How close are we to getting the new vet center open?
You would have to ask Moira.
Who's handling that for Idaho?
Mm-hmm.
So she listens, and she's kind of like, okay, all right. I don't know how I feel about any of this.
Do you have any questions?
She goes, too many. She's like, does God exist?
No idea. I've never met him.
So, well, you're having this discussion with Westy. Vic, what are you doing?
I guess I just seeing Jack out, making sure he's okay, and then once he's gone, having that conversation with Romano and Harvey, and just letting them know that like he knows, but you know doesn't want to know any more than he already knows. But so if you know, just like if it comes up in idle conversation, he won't be surprised. But you don't need to let him know anything more because he doesn't care about it.
Romano's like, cool, 10-4. Harvey's like, pussy.
No, he's got family, and I respect that because I had family when I was turned, and if I was given the choice, I would not have chosen to. I would have stayed with my family, and I'm regretting that now and trying to make up for it years later. So I respect his decision, and I totally agree with it.
Al, what are you doing?
Checking in with my bartenders.
So when you get there, so where are you headed first? Let's start there.
Which way did we enter the club? From the alley?
Front door.
Front door? Then I'd just like make my usual path down.
So when you get to Robin's bar, she's kind of like, she's just hanging out, serving the few customers that she have. She's like, so how is the meat?
Well, we made it back here, so I guess that's something. But our asses are on the line, so there's that.
She's like, does that mean somebody's going to come throw me through another mirror?
Not specifically, but you know, we always try to avoid that. But I think some lines were drawn, and hopefully things around here stay pretty calm.
She's like, okay. Okay.
Why, what's up?
She's just kind of like, don't really want to go through that again.
Of course not. Anyone give you any trouble tonight?
She goes, no, slow night. Not particularly good. Not particularly great money. Nobody's tipping.
No, it was a good thing I sent Jen home. At least you didn't have to divvy that up.
She goes, true that.
Okay, well, I'm going to check in my next bar.
Would be Lane's.
Lanes. Then I probably just ask for bank if she's counted out.
Yeah, she turns it over.
So yeah, I'll just pick them up as I go. Drop it off with Moira.
When you get to Lane's bar, she's basically done. The bar's cleaned up and they're about counted out and almost done. She's like, so she's like, do you know? She's like, this is weird. She points at your bar and she goes, so there is a new kindred here. I don't know. New vamp girl gives me the heebie-jeebies. She says, I don't know if she's here because of Declan or because of
Kennedy.
Kennedy. She's hung out over at their bar all night long. She's like, I don't know. she hadn't done anything. Like she's definitely done, all the things that she should, ordered a drink, kept it for, an hour and
Right.
a half, and and all of that. But I don't know. She just gives me kind of the she gives kind of a tremble. She's like, just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
I can see her from where I'm at.
Yes.
Let me do Sense the Unseen. See if there's something hovering around her.
Okay. When you do sense the unseen on her, there is nothing about that is off about her. Nothing shows up. Nothing like that. Um, doesn't even have any black marks on her. No, no diablerie, nothing.
Yeah, best I can do is just, go over and play it smooth, but thank you for the heads up.
She's like, okay. She's like, good luck. So what do you do?
Yeah, I'll head over to the bar, play it real smooth. I don't even notice this person. I'm just going straight to
For bag.
Declan and Kennedy to check in and see if I can't weasel my way into an introduction.
So when you go over there, Kennedy's the one who's closest to you. Kennedy is actually the one they're working on what used to be Ruby's end of the bar. When you walk up, Kennedy just kind of gives you a nod and is like, "So, how is politics?"
Fucking hard.
I always used to say, Michael, I'm never the political type. I don't want to be involved. And here I am anyway. So, not a lot of joy in the moment. How was tonight? Tips good?
They just kind of chuckle. They're like, "No, no, that this is, I think, total. We got less than $20 between the two of us."
Yeah, it really wasn't a good night, but I did manage to. I was hoping it would, be more in the end because I sent Jen home.
Kennedy kind of nods and is like, "I don't think the cut would have been any smaller with her here." Kennedy kind of side eyes down the bar and is like, "I'm pretty sure all of the money that we got tonight came out of that girl's pockets."
That.
They shrug and says, Annie, something like that.
Hmm?
Do I recognize this person at all?
So are you like looking down the bar at them, or
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a quick glance, like not like stalker stare, but
when you glance down the bar, they're kind of like leaning on the bar, like their heads kind of like flopped over. They're definitely like watching you and Kennedy. It is when you look, it is almost like your eyes just kind of slide off of them. Like they are plain, maybe even so plain that if you had to pick them out in a crowd, you probably couldn't.
The perfect spy.
and neither of you two know her.
Kennedy's like, I've never seen her before in my life. Although, given how utterly bland she is, I don't know if I would say that even if I'd met her 10 minutes ago. they're like, whatever. I mean, that's how some of us get through life, I guess, being so just utterly mundane.
Oh, she paid her tab yet?
They're like, yeah. Says
Oh,
they didn't have, I mean, let me rephrase that. They didn't have a tab. They were paying cash all night long, which
well, go do a little investigate. But yeah, if you guys could just finish, wiping down the bar, getting tips counted and everything else. If it's all wrapped up, just here's the bank bag.
Kennedy nods, and when you say you're going to investigate, they're like, why? It's like, would be like investigating
You remember
rice.
when well, of course that's gonna, but you kind of remember when I walked up to the bar and you asked me about politics? It's that bad. We need to watch our asses at every turn right now.
Kennedy.
So anybody weird, even the unremarkable, if it's new, gives you the heebie-jeebies, one of us needs to know.
Kennedy kind of goes, whatever you say, and goes to finishing up at the bar. So what do you do?
Yeah, I just, confidently kind of walk down and,
You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the heck out of here.
Hey, the night is winding down. I happen to be an assistant manager here and just, you're new around, wanted to see what you thought about our business.
She, like, with her head kind of, like, still crooked over, she, like, kind of stares at you. And it becomes really apparent why she gave Lane the heebie-jeebies. Like, her face is so bland and unassuming and unremarkable that her eyes, which are just like dead doll eyes, like they're just empty pools, and she just kind of stares at you for a second, and then she smiles, but it's like watching a doll smiling. Like, it doesn't ever crease her eyes. Like, the mouth muscles are moving, and
So it's like a puppet.
she's like smiles, and it takes a minute for all of everything to kind of follow through. It's almost like she's having to remember how to properly emote. She reaches her hand out, and she goes, "Oh, I really like it here." She goes, "Declan's really funny." And she like reaches her hand out to you and offers it, and she goes, "I'm Annie."
Nice to meet you. How long have you known Declan?
He kind of like looks up, and he's like, "Tonight." And Declan, who you've known for only a couple nights as being the kind of guy who won't shut up, is being remarkably quiet.
That's why I was asking her, not him.
She turns her face towards him, But as she turns to look at him, like her eyes don't leave you until like the very last second, where they kind of then move from you to him. And she's like, "Oh, I just met him tonight." And then when she looks back at you, her eyes move first, and then her head turns.
So,
She kind of scoots a little closer to you, and she's like, "You're really pretty. What's your name?"
I'm Al.
She's like, she kind of, she says it. She's like, "Al," and it's like she's like learning how to say it for the first time. Like she's trying to roll the syllables in her mouth as she says it.
The one syllable.
She's like, "Ow, I'm Annie." She kind of flops her head to the side. She goes, "That's funny."
What's funny?
So, meta question with Mesmerize. If it's a successful roll, can I not command the target to tell me things rather than giving a command to do something?
Mesmerized, the vampire can issue complex command to a victim as long as they have the subject's gaze and relative quiet in which to issue instructions. The instructions must be carried out immediately to the victim's best ability and must not contain any additional actions.
So
No,
instructional.
no roll is required against an unprepared mortal victim. Commanding a resisting victim or another vampire requires a contest of manipulation plus dominate versus intelligence and resolve. Commands that go against the victim's nature also require a contest. So if you are attempting to, so I guess what is your intention here with using Mesmerize?
Because I feel like if I keep asking serious questions, I'm just going to get run around because of whoever's controlling. And this would be a test to see if I somehow interrupt that control, or if whatever this puppet is gives me more direct information in being under my control. Like
Okay.
I feel like if I mesmerize her, I'm getting like a direct link, and she's gonna have to answer me truthfully, versus sitting here going, "Oh, Annie, really? Who do you hang out with? And what does that person do?" I can just tell me.
Okay. So are you going to attempt to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So Mesmerize is a rouse check.
Ooh, don't fail. Please don't fail.
Beast mode. Damn it.
Okay.
Ooh.
Your hunger
Damn it.
does not increase. Okay, so if you're going to do this, it is your manipulation and your dominate. So so three, so
It
six, so
should be
3 and 3.
correct if I just hit the roll, right?
3 and 3.
Yeah.
Leave discipline alone. Here, we'll just see if I did it right.
Yeah. Okay.
It's 3 and 3.
So it is against intelligence and resolve. Okay. 1 second.
Hey. Not your scratching post.
Do you want to re-roll your one not success to attempt to increase your margin? Okay. So there's your one reroll. Didn't you reroll earlier tonight too? Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Okay. So other rolling scripts. They're going to reroll 2. So you went on a margin of 1. As you So what is the command that you are going to give?
So tell me all
Alina
about
says, "Feed
yourself.
me."
Well, the
So
initial
tell me
command
all
would
about
be
yourself.
to tell me truthfully
Huh.
why you are here.
No.
She
Mm.
she smiles and she goes, because I wanted to come here, because I come here often.
Come here often looking
How
different.
often?
What did you ask, Al?
Do you come, like, when you've come here before, do you look different?
She gives a smile. She goes, sometimes. Sometimes I don't look like anything at all.
And has someone sent you here, or are you of your own accord?
She scoots a little closer to you and like reaches out like to touch your face. She's like, I'm here for you.
Hmm.
Me. In For what reasoning?
She starts to lean towards you like she's trying to kiss you. It is almost like watching somebody who has literally never interacted with another human being attempting to fake some sort of intimacy that they've seen before.
No kitty on the desk.
So what do you do?
She's resisting answering?
No, she answered you.
Carefully.
Declan is like, is everything cool?
Shh.
Like both Kennedy and Declan are like watching this like, so what do you do?
Annie, do you know someone by the name of...
So wait, hold on. So you try to, so again, she's like leaning forward to try to kiss you. Are you like backing up or trying to stop her, or are you...
I'd back up somewhat, not just arm's length. That way, if I still need to defend myself, I can grasp at her. But I do step away a bit. Like, are you trying to kiss me or tell me something?
She like blinks, and then she's like, she's still smiling, but her eyes like get really sad, like the emotions around the eyes. Not her eyes. Her eyes continue to look like dead doll eyes. She says, I guess not tonight then. And just like that, she's gone.
Like
What do you
poof
mean
of
gone?
smoke.
Like
Or
you,
like blinks out of existence?
like literally just like not there anymore.
No friendly pop to go along with it, or is this fucking Ruby? This is Ruby.
Whoever she is, she didn't pay her cover.
Okay, I am.
You
Like, what other ways would there be to go invisible like that? There's only so many ways. Like, I mean, like you said, if there's no blink.
I have a feeling she
Are you
wasn't really, but
so are you asking that question? Because that's a roll.
Yeah, if I can figure out, like, exactly how she just
Yes.
evaporated,
Roll.
yeah, I'll roll. What is it?
Okay, that's going to be your intelligence and occult.
whoa!
Hmm.
You can spend a willpower to re-roll that too, as well.
You
Can she?
you know, Al, that particularly knowledgeable or powerful users of obfuscate have mastered the ability to go invisible and perform unseen passage even when being observed.
So it's high level obfuscate.
It is, of course, an incredible masquerade breach to literally appear to vanish out into thin air. But the ability to be able to perform this feat while being observed means that somebody can effectively escape even in a crowded room full of people.
Well, we already jumped on that whole maybe Jen is Ruby thing, so I'm not trying at all to, like, be thinking that someone else is now Ruby. I'm done with that logic.
Well, my idea, my thought is that we don't know how many people Shaw diablerized and how many powers and abilities he had before Ruby got him. So
instead of just one extra mind fuck, she's got every mind fuck
like
he ever fucked.
maybe, and they're all being driven by the same
Is
focus from
meta,
her.
is that a thing?
So there have been, and this is it is a meta discussion, but there have been kindred in the past who have, as they've diablerized people, have had the issue where they have consumed so many lives and had so many memories that started to overlap at the same time that it became very difficult for them to determine whose was whose during when. This is one of the primary reasons why kindred who attempt to diablerize more powerful kindred often end up. This is a huge reason why it is considered the greatest and gravest of sins. Is this because the I mean, if you are not powerful enough, if you're not strong enough, if you're not mentally fortuitous enough, that's not even a word, to be able to say, these are my memories, these are your memories. Imagine doing that and then doing that with 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, 10 people. Suddenly, who knows where you were when? Like, now you've got a kindred out there who, yeah, maybe they're super powerful. Maybe they've got all of these abilities. They have no idea how to use any of them. They have no experiential knowledge.
So like Legion.
Kind of,
Yeah, that's what I was
but
That's
thinking.
good.
but it turns into but worse for them is it turns into insanity because now, you know, who
They
are
can't keep track of it all.
yeah, they don't know who they are. They can't keep track
Becomes
of all of their
very
That is the
memories.
chaotic.
ultimate DID right there. Um,
That's like it's a nightmare
I
situation.
guess at this point I would turn
Having
and
all of
look
the
at
altars like
like
overlapping.
I'd turn and look at Declan and Kennedy and just be like, you saw that too, right?
Declan is like looking around, like he's looking to see if anybody else was around that saw what happened. Meanwhile, Kennedy is just standing there, like watching you, like focused on you, Al. Like, what are you gonna do?
Sense the unseen.
Again, but if do I need to rouse the blood first?
No,
No.
for sentiency. Uh, you don't see anything.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think I can do, you know, again, like Declan is doing, just double check, make sure no one else caught that. And if I'm in the clear, then I'm gonna uh text Michael to come down because I feel like this talk needs to happen in front of the other witnesses.
Okay. So, Michael, do you respond to the message and head down there?
Yeah, I ask Westy to promise me to wait for me to get back. She can think about things all she wants, and I'll have all the more questions. No matter what her decision is, just wait till I'm back.
She seems a little confused, but she's like, okay. So you get down to the bar. What is the conversation you want to have? Do you specifically, Al? Do you specifically text this to Michael, or do you text it to the group chat in general?
Right now, just Michael.
Okay.
Um, I basically explained how the conversation went. That Declan and Kennedy can back me up. This I don't know what this is supposed to be about. I really couldn't get direct answers. Just that she had been here often before, but none of us have seen her. She had this whole core line bullshit going on. Uh, yeah. So then she dashed something. Um, just
And I
wanted to
look
bring
at
it to you first to see if you had any ideas before we warned the gang. And I'm sure it's probably we can check our cameras, maybe, and see what we can see. Maybe you'll get a picture. Maybe you recognize this person. I don't know.
Is that like? Did you guys see this? And I turned to Kennedy and Declan.
Kennedy just kind of gives a shrug. Declan is like, yeah, she's been here all night.
And she like vanished, like a magic trick.
Like, poof.
But she knew you. But you guys hadn't seen her before. But she knew you.
Declan's like, she didn't mention shit about it before Al got here.
I have a suspicion. And I'm like, all right, you come with me. Did anybody else see it? I'm like, let's go check the cameras.
You're saying you and me, not you and Declan?
Yeah.
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 I wanted to speak to you alone as well. So we can head off to security.
So when you head to security, what is the conversation?
I'm going to tell you that I think this is too suspicious to be coincidence.
Oh, definitely. And Lane was also having some odd observations that, number one, this person like really gave them the willies. Like, that's not common for Lane. I mean, come on, let's face it, she's kind of seen it all at this point. And also made the observation that for as talkative as our little Declan is, as charming as he can be, he's been oddly quiet. So I'm not sure what those two things have to do with each other and why this person would seem to show up the same night we tell Jen to not bother coming. Again, could be coincidence. But at least the least we can do is check the tapes.
Yeah, let's check the tapes, see if they caught her on if we caught her on any feed. See if we can see when Jen was leaving. I'm getting worried that this might be something bigger than we think it is. I'm getting worried that this might actually be something more like a Shaw Ruby hybrid that shattered into a million pieces and is trying to figure it out.
So when you get to the security room and you look at the tapes, there is a pretty line you can watch as Jen walks into the building, heads. You can watch the entire conversation that she had with you, Al.
Okay.
She leaves, says goodbye to Robin. She waves to Robin, says goodbye. The whole night you can watch her goes the entire thing. It's about 2 hours, and then there is the video of Annie coming in. Completely different clothes, completely different walk, completely different hair, completely different face. Doesn't look. They can't even be confused for one another. Where Jen is, rocking that kind of punk rock look, has the, looks the Dead Ringer for Ruby, has the Wednesday Adam pigtails. Annie's hair is mousy and brown and kind of hangs. It looks like maybe a homemade haircut. It doesn't really hang particularly well. Her features are completely bland, and even her walk and her mannerisms are completely different. Body doesn't look the same. Different cup size, different ass size.
The camera capture about disappearing. And also, it, okay, so timeline. We're still watching the tape. She makes her way to Declan's bar. What interactions do we observe between the two of them?
She actually makes her way to Kennedy's bar first.
Oh, okay.
In fact, she basically hits almost every single bar. She sits at Robin's bar for a minute. She goes and she heads to Lane's bar and actually seems to be there for a minute. And then she heads to Kennedy's bar. Uh, and of all the bars, she spends the least amount of time at Kennedy's. Before she finally kind of walks off and goes to the other end, where she resides at Declan's, and then she basically sits there from that time period until you show up. So here is the interesting thing about that. On the camera, what you see is her literally just getting up and walking off. After her attempt to lean in towards you,
because obfuscate doesn't save from cameras, as we found out with Vic in the foster parents' house.
She literally just stands up and kind of meekly walks out and walks right past Lane, walks right past the bar, walks right past Robin, even walks right past Harvey and Romano on her way out. And then she's out the front door and out of the range of cameras.
And does it look like she conversed much with Declan, or was it like he said, just poured the drink and sat there?
It looks like he tries to talk to her, and it looks like he attempted to converse with her, and it didn't really go anywhere.
I mean, like, it's super coincidental that we have two people come in and act like a schoolgirl with a crush, highly focused on you. It's just weird. Just weird, man, especially with everything going on. I think it's a note to be concerned about. I want to check these, see if I can see her on previous days within this week, since she's visible on camera. Or ask. I'm gonna get Clyde to do it.
Okay. So you're gonna ask Clyde to check the security tapes. So
see how as far back as it can, see how many times he sees this girl at the club. Collect them all.
So
he'll be happy not to shovel shift and sit in air conditioning.
So we have hit that point in the evening where it is time for last actions. So Vic, final actions, final thoughts. What are you doing to close out this night?
I guess unloading the car, since I packed up the trunk in anticipation for what could have gone wrong.
Mm-mm.
So I guess just unloading the car and getting everything's all nice and tidy and making sure everyone's taken care of.
Fair, very fair. All right, Michael. Final thoughts, final actions.
Uh, definitely going to collect
Westy.
Westy, see how she's feeling, if she wants to just call it a night.
She's definitely ready to go turn in.
All right, so head back up to the apartment with her and make sure like everything's situated downstairs. I'm gonna have to have an early morning tomorrow evening. I have to have an early evening tomorrow, and it's gonna be time to make some rounds. Do we have anybody who was, Vic, were you ever in contact with uh, the werewolves? Like, do we have contact for them at all?
Well, me and Al were both in werewolf territory with Idaho. It was the three of us that went into werewolf territory to actually talk to the hybrid and then negotiate, everything that happened there. And so, I mean, we were all there for that. We met with the werewolves. There was one werewolf in particular who was like the big
Yeah, but
white
from what
one.
I remember, they basically ended it with, we did our, duty, you did your thing, okay, we are done. We don't want to see your
Okay.
faces ever
But
fucking again.
but I thought it ended more on the fact of like you actually kept your word, which is more than we expected of you, and
Yeah,
we will
but they
remember.
still, I don't remember them saying they'd remember that. I mean, Knox can figure that little semantic out, but from what I remember, it was, you saved our guy from SI, we helped you out, tit for tat, we're done, don't come fucking around no more. That was what I got from everything.
Right. Right. But now we just spilled the beans of their existence and the hybrid's existence, and
Well,
the fall of everything would be horrible. So, is there any smoke signal we could get to reinstate, or would that give it up?
I think Valentin is already the smoke signal. I honestly think he's going to be the fastest way to get news there. Um, like how we communicate with them to try and help things out from here on out. I think maybe a little bit different, but I think Valentin is going to be the one that's already over there and already going to tip them off. They're already going to have some sort of action to take after tonight, unfortunately.
So basically, sitting around and praying that nobody finds anything tomorrow.
No. I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, I think that preliminary action is already going to be taken because Valentin is already going to go. However, whatever action after that preliminary action we can take care of as part of damage control. We might need to at least see if we can make new contacts or recontact.
Yeah. I think Michael's going to bed thinking that tomorrow is going to be a busy day, and he's got a lot of ground to cover to make a couple moves and protect one ass.
Al. Final actions and thoughts.
Need to fucking eat real quick.
So.
No. No. You are not going to start that shit in here.
Hey, you two.
Whoop her ass.
So, where are you going to go hunt? Are you going to go for something specific, or are you...
Well, I'm guessing the best place to hit up someone my type would be maybe After Hours Club. Someplace still bumping.
All right. Let's say we'll do... Yeah, we'll do this just normal 6 dice. So 3 and 3 for you. do you want to re-roll that one die to see if you can get another success?
Fucking kid.
Ooh,
So
been that kind of night.
you go and you try to hunt, but is it your stress level? Is it your concerns about what's happened tonight? Is it your anxiety about the meeting? You're not really sure, but opportunities seem to elude you this evening, and you end up having to retreat back to your apartment, still quite hungry. And with that, our session, though not our chronicle, comes to an end. XP has been awarded.
You know it's bad when I'm quiet, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, well, since this one has managed to get under everybody's skin.
Double XP, damn it.
Wasn't that bad?
I'll forfeit my XP for the night for.
No.
Oh my gosh. So we've had some great feedback in chat, some really awesome people. And I think at least one has joined our Discord and might be jumping in on some of our TTRPG chat. I don't know if you'll get a chance, Knox, to go back and watch this on VOD versus when it gets uploaded, because if you watch it VOD, you get the chat kind of archived. But there have been some awesome ideas talking about touchstones and just really cool shit. So I'm hoping that they have joined the I can't even Discord. Yes. Was that
Well,
you, Zack, with the sub?
Nope. Not tonight.
It's not. I didn't get an alert. So whoever did that sub, I'm sorry Twitch is being a dick. I do appreciate it, whoever that was. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the emotes and that ad-free viewing. Remember, guys, if you also have Amazon Prime, you can link that to your Twitch account, and you'll get one free sub a month. No, I'll appreciate it. So, to end the night, I want to thank Knox, our storyteller, Zack, our big mouth Vic, Michael, who's trying to keep us all together, and I'm your Alice. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you on Discord. Also, tomorrow I will be live at noon with tomorrow I'm running a late day because I'm running an errand. So I think I'm on at 3 tomorrow. I'm gonna play City of Heroes. So if you guys are a fan of MMOs, this is a good one to check out. Yeah, thanks everybody. Knox, you're getting thanked in the chat for being so awesome. All right, everybody. We're gonna say our goodbyes and we'll see you Thursday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.